Well, Chris Fields, man, you were a professional gambler making all this money, and you gave it up for a love of making apps now, right? But more importantly, I mean, you're one of the first graduates from this App Academy where you go for 9 weeks. You learn how to make applications. You don't need an engineering degree or anything, and they train you so you can get a job for 90,000 bucks. And the way you pay for the school is by they just take a like what is the first 18% of your salary for a year or something like that?
Yeah, I believe that is what they're doing right now. They actually had a slightly different model when we joined. Actually, our inaugural class got a complete pass on paying anything.
Wow! It really was free.
It was, yeah. I think we were the guinea pigs for their class. They were working out the kinks, so they didn't charge us. They only got paid if we happened to get a job at one of the companies they had partnerships with.
I see.
Which, as far as I know, only two, I think one or two students did. So they didn't make a lot their first couple months.
Yeah, wow. So, but basically their model is you attend to their school and they have a venting process, right? So not everybody who applies gets in. You have to have some aptitude for this, but you don't need a degree. They train you like hell. You work like hell for 6 weeks, right?
Yes.
And then when you graduate, you either get a job for most people graduate and get a job for 90 grand a year, and then they take like the 18% of the first year's salary or something like that. Yeah, well, that's cool. I mean, you could pay like $13,000 up front if you want.
Right?
Yeah, I think if you're planning on doing your own business, then I think they charge you 12 or 13 out of your own pocket. Obviously, you're not going to get a job, so.
But here's a great way for people if they're interested in becoming a computer programmer, and actually probably no matter what age you just have talent, try to get in here because you don't have to worry about paying for anything, and you get a great job after 9 weeks. Where else are you going to get a job for 90 grand a year, man?
Yeah, it definitely is an amazing once-in-a-lifetime opportunity if you can get in, and it's definitely worth applying if you think you have the aptitude and the desire to do it.
And now I see they have two places, San Francisco and New York, and they're starting new classes every week.
Yeah, they're growing really quick.
Yeah, so and that's because you said because of demand?
Yeah, the demand for developers is definitely a lot higher than the supply right now. So, which is why you can get such a high salary after only 9 weeks of
9 weeks of training. Maybe they'll have brain surgery like that. 9 weeks, become a brain surgeon.
Yeah, I also hope that the demand for brain surgeons isn't that high that everyone's needing brain surgery.
It's how the demand. I mean, to me, the other neat option to me was always, boy, I know you could go to community college for 2 years, become a nurse, and make like 50 grand, at least in the Washington D.C. area, which is great. So here you go for 9 weeks and make 100 grand and get it paid for too. Wow! I mean, that's just one of the most incredible deals I think America has.
It really is. It's an amazing opportunity. Yeah.
But tell us a little bit more about how you went from a professional gambler, or how you became a professional gambler, and then had to give it all up. I mean, that's a cool story.
Yeah, so I mean, that happened a while ago when I became 10 years ago. I watched the movie Rounders.
Oh, yes.
And I thought, well, that looks fun. I wonder if I can find somewhere online to do that. And I found somewhere that let you play for free. So I didn't have any money. So I just found somewhere that played for free. And they had these tournaments called free rolls where if you won, they'd give you like $10.
Ah.
I won a couple of those. I took the money and I started playing at the real tables. And I just grinded it out until I started to make a really good salary.
Now, this is all online. You were playing like poker online?
And then eventually I started to go around the world to play at big tournaments, but most of my play was online.
Wow. And even now, you said then it came to a time where the IRS didn't want the government or didn't want Americans to play in this stuff anymore, right?
Yeah, the Department of Justice had the FBI seize the domain names of the top 3 poker sites that offered poker to the U.S. players, which basically held our money hostage for a while.
Wow.
And if you happen to play at PokerStars, you got your money back. Actually, from the other 2, you still haven't got your money back, even though it's years later.
And this happened.
When did you find out about this? Where were you?
I was on my honeymoon.
And you had to tell your new wife what when you found that out?
I told my wife that we didn't have any money anymore. Basically, all our money was frozen
The government! Well, that's terrific. So now, so you came back and you started your own business, right?
Yeah. So I decided to try to do my own business for a while, which was developing. I taught myself a little bit of Python, basically what I needed to build the site as opposed to learning the more fundamentals of it. Um, but there were so many pitfalls and I was hitting them all. And I was going into debt to my family. So after a while, I was fairly far in debt. And then we found out that my wife was pregnant. And that was a pretty big turning point. I decided to give it maybe another month or two, and if I couldn't turn the business around, I needed to find something else because I didn't want to be unemployed when my son was born. And that's when my brother emailed me about something similar to the App Academy, and I did some research and I found the App Academy, and that one seemed like a great fit for me. So I applied and got in.
Wow, that's and it was free. And if you took a normal job, you're making $90,000 a year. So I imagine you're making more now because you don't you didn't take the job. But that's just a remarkable story, and how your resourcefulness to me, and also finding these opportunities just by being inquisitive and looking around and applying. And the important thing about your lesson too, I think, is that how that business failed, and so it didn't stop you. You just kept going, right?
Yeah, you got to take risks in life, and maybe more often than not, they don't pan out the way you expect. But if you keep going, eventually a couple of them you hit home runs, right?
And to me, I feel it's usually by accident, But but it's not going to happen unless you keep trying. That's it. You get a little bit. And I guess like in poker, how long did it take you before you started making money at poker?
It took about 3 months. Then I was making maybe a quarter an hour.
And that's working 24 hours a day, right?
I was working, pretty much every hour, every waking hour. I was making 25 cents an hour. But another 3 months later, I was making, minimum wage. 3 months after that, I was making like 30 an hour, and I just kept going until I was making a couple hundred an hour.
Wow. Well, see, so you taught yourself. So, but it's harder to do that in the States now, right?
Yeah, to play poker.
Yeah.
It's really hard now. I mean, the game is much harder because a lot of people started to learn how to do it well. There's actually online courses to learn how to play poker, and so it just brought the level of play way up. And then now it got really hard to play online because of various interventions by the government, that the only people that were willing to play were really good players.
I see. So there weren't a lot of sitting ducks out there anymore.
It was sharks playing against sharks after a while.
And that's dangerous waters. So what would your advice be to someone, hey, what kind of principles do you live by that, even after you fail and stuff like that, that you keep finding a way to come back even better?
It's all about being a resilient person, right? You have to be willing to dust yourself off, get back up on the horse, and try again.
Just keep going, yeah. Well, I mean, to me, it's surprising that you could find a place, with no background in programming or engineering or any of those degrees, and find out how to get a job after 6 or 9 weeks for $90,000. Right. Well, good for you. It's an exciting story, and you're a wonderful person, and that little child you showed me earlier looks he's going to have a lot to learn from Papa now.
So, hope I teach him well.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Chris, for sharing all this with us. Well, Chris, we forgot to tell people about your app, and it's free. People go to the App Store, right, and get your app called Trifecta, and that's a free app, right?
Correct.
And what's it like? What's the game?
It's a game. It's really similar to Bejeweled or Candy Crush. Something that somebody that I went through the App Academy with, her and I built together in a couple weeks right after it, and put it in the App Store. So
it'd be good for people to see how good what you can become in just 9 weeks going to App Academy. Go to the App Store and get Trifecta and download Trifecta, and you'll see what you could be doing in 9 weeks, and also be making $90,000 a year too.
Exactly.
Or in other places, your website is rndklabs.com, right? And that's how to find you, right? Well, more app developers are going to be looking for you to help them do their apps.
Sounds good, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.